Come on. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Evolving Vibes, the community for witches, pagans, spiritualists, and everybody in between. So, I'm glad to be back. I know it's Monday and I usually post on Saturdays or Sundays, but on Saturday I was doing 2 psychic fairs. It was a really long day. Started off at 10 a.m. with setting up, and finally at midnight breaking everything down. And there were 2 different locations, so it was set up at one location, do the fair, break down, and then head to the next location and do the same thing all over again. It was awesome. I had a great time doing it, but I really wanted yesterday to recharge. So, for today's video, what I thought I would do, because I got a lot of comments recently asking for an introduction video, and I got a couple of DMs actually and emails asking for that as well, I thought that would be a cool thing to do today, just a sort of brief introduction to who I am, my practice, that sort of thing, and talk a little bit about me. So, I did make some tea. It's my own blend that I actually made myself, and of course there's a cinnamon stick in it. Highly recommend it. If you've not tried that yet, it's totally worth it. And I'm trying to drink it so that it doesn't sound like I'm slurping on the video, so hopefully that worked. So let's talk a little bit about me. So definitely understand this is one of my harder videos because I find it rather challenging to talk about me. So 1, I don't open up all that easily, but 2, it's just challenging to talk about oneself and not sound, self-inflated. So to start off with, my name is Brian. We already know that, right? I'm a witch. I've been a witch for pretty much as long as I can remember. Even as a kid, I can really remember being out in the woods, feeling at home there. But collecting different plants and such and mixing different type of potions and having the ability to manifest. That's one of the things I remember most as a kid. Myself and my sister and my dad had this connection where we could actually really think about things or think about wanting to be contacted by one or the other and it working. My dad used to have this trick where I'd be in the kitchen and he'd want me to bring him something and intuitively I would just bring it. It's like, that's what I was wanting you to do. So stuff like that. Now, I'm also a psychic medium, and I learned this through the years as well, because if you're a psychic, if you're a medium, one thing that does happen is you start really questioning your own self and like, is this right? What am I doing here? What am I feeling here? Why am I getting this imagery? Or why am I getting this message? And it took me a while to come to grips with the fact that I actually was getting being reached out to from people on the other side, and they were trying to communicate with me about their family and about their loved ones. And as I started doing more psychic fairs, that became more prevalent and became a lot easier for me to work within. Now, I don't offer mediumships when I do psychic fairs. If it happens, it happens, but I don't advertise it. And the reason for that being, not everyone wants to reach through and talk to people and talk to family members. And I don't want people feeling disappointed, but I also don't want people feeling like I'm taking advantage of them. So when I'm doing a psychic fair, if someone comes through, I'll start talking about that person, I'll start describing them, and we'll figure things out from that standpoint. But it's not something where you see on TV with, so-and-so's uncle begins with Chris, blah, blah, blah. For me, it doesn't work that way. If it works that way for others, great. As you can tell, I'm also a pet daddy. I've got this wonderful little baby who is a handful, as you can see. And I also have some kitty cats. By some, I mean I have 4. I have Loki, who's my black kitty cat that you'll see here and there. I have Reese, who you always see up in this window right over here. I have Shadow, who's a gray kid, and he likes to hang out, but not go on camera. And I have Max, who's my big boy, and he's huge. I'm just blessed to have such a loving little family. So, people ask me, what kind of witch am I? And that is a hard question because I'm not really big into labels, and I don't really subscribe to any one path. whatever resonates with me, whatever works for me, is what I jump on and what I work with and how I've been working my whole life. And so I don't follow any one path. Whatever has resonated with me is the path that I usually follow. And it's always very much different than most. So I do a lot of different things. I take a lot from different practices and different styles of practice. And it works for me. And it always has worked for me. And obviously, that's who I am, and that's how I practice, and that's how I'll continue. So do I have a label? Not really. If one were to think of a label for me, it'd probably be eclectic, because I'm just take from little pieces here and there. And that works for me. If that works for you, cheers. Let's have a sip to that. And if it doesn't work for you, whatever works for you, run with it. That's the way it's supposed to be. Whatever works for any one of us is what we should be doing, because obviously it resonates. Now, I do have a sibling, my sister Diane, but myself and Diane have this really strong connection. And she doesn't like the word witch, and she's always asked me, why do you keep calling yourself that? As well as David. And they like the word spiritualist. And that's where my introduction came from, whether you're a pagan, a witch, or a spiritualist, or anyone in between. That's a shout out to my sister in a conversation she, myself, and David had one day in a restaurant. All that being said, her and I have a real strong connection where we can think for each other, not for each other, but to each other, to get contacted. We've been doing that all our whole lives. But we also have this really weird relationship with electronics. If I get super energized, and by that I mean I get, let's say I get excited, or I get upset on a situation, or I start raising my voice, not yelling, but just talking loudly and really getting energized, my phone will shut off. Like, literally, I use an iPhone now, and one of the major reasons I use an iPhone now is all the other type of phones that I had, I would burn out, and they would, after a month or so, just stop working. And I lost so much data. The iPhone seems to work best for me. And let me know in the comments if you guys have any of that phenomenon that happens. But my sister and I will be on the telephone, and if we're having a really dynamic conversation about a situation or about an individual, whatever it might be, and either one of us starts getting excited about it, we have to call each other back 3, 4, 5 times because we keep shutting the phones off. And it is so funny, yet so challenging to have a conversation. So we end up having to reel back the emotion a little bit and calm things down to talk in order to get through the telephone conversations. So it's rather funny, it's rather interesting. And I'm curious if anyone else has that situation happen with them as well. So, what have I done all my life is another question that's asked of me. Well, I started off my life as a career paramedic. I was a paramedic for some really, really busy urban settings for a very long time. And so after being a paramedic for decades, I decided what I wanted to do was go more into, we'll say, mental health. And I now work at a forensic facility. Now, for those of you that may not know what a forensic facility is, it's basically set up like a prison. And it's got locked units, it's got locked cells, and people actually get assigned there by court for psychological evaluations based upon the crimes that they may have done. We have a lot of violent people, we have a lot of murderers, we have a lot of different types of people. And I'm not branding them, and I'm definitely not labeling them. I'm just discussing what it was that they've actually done to actually get at the forensic facility. I've been there now for going on 5 years, and I do find it rewarding. Now, the next question that usually pops up with all of this is, are you an empath? And if you are, how did all this work? So I am an empath, and through my whole career as a paramedic, as well as now working in the forensic facility, the most important thing anyone can do as an empath is learn how to remove yourself from any situation. And that being said, you want to acknowledge and understand what an individual is going through, but you don't want to take in that energy or that pain or that angst. And it takes a little bit of time to learn how to do it, but once you do, your life as an empath becomes much, much easier. And it's just reframing situations. Some will call it submutation, where you'll actually step back away from things and understand that you're actually an observer, not a participant, and in that person's situation. Obviously, you're a participant in your own situation involving that person, but you're not that person, and you're not feeling everything that they're feeling. And once you start doing that, as well as grounding and cleansing, things work and get a lot easier for you. So if there's one advice that I can give to empaths out there and fellow empaths, is learn how to put that boundary up. Make sure that you can understand what they're going through, but you don't physically have to take on that energy and that emotion and that feeling of what they're going through. And once you do this, life becomes a lot easier for you as an empath. Some more tea. So what else do you want to know about me? I live in southeastern Massachusetts, probably around 35, 40 minutes from Boston. I'll use that as a landmark. And probably around 30 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island, again as a landmark. So you have an idea whereabouts I am. So I'm in the South Coast area, which means there's a lot of water around me, which is awesome. Where I live now is deep in the woods, which is really nice. It's still close to everything, but I have all these trees and all of this nature surrounding me. So it makes it much easier for me to remove myself from society when I want to and just recharge, regroup, and reground myself, which I do quite often. So yesterday would be my normal day to work, but I took the day off to recharge. And being my normal day at work, I would have actually done a video yesterday and dropped it as well, or actually had one to drop. But with the way the week was going, with preparing for the psychic fairs and then having the psychic fairs, I had to postpone a lot of that, which is why we're here now. So, some of the other things that I do and some of the other things that I work with in my magical realm, I love working with herbs. This tea is my own blend that I made. So some people have reached out to me and asked me for some advice and such. And the best advice I can give anybody about witchcraft, about your path, and about who you are is follow your intuition. Go out there and do your research. Watch my channel. Definitely watch my channel. But watch other channels too. And see what vibes with you and see what resonates with you. But along with that, get out there and get some books. Talk with friends. Really involve yourself in the community. And that could be going to psychic fairs if you're not a psychic and you don't want to work as a psychic at a psychic fair. Then going to them and really sharing the energy with people that like mind and opening up that potential for friendships and for relationships to move forward. Now, one of the things that does come up, and people have asked me, is, am I part of a coven? I'm not. Now, personally, that's my own personal decision. Could I be? With the right riches, I'm sure I could be. But personally, I like being a solitary witch. I like doing my own thing. I do have witchy friends, and I do reach out to them. I was at a psychic fair this past weekend with one of my close witchy friends, Sarah, and we had an awesome time together. We always do. And we're looking at doing some table tipping. So down the road, we may be doing a table tipping video. Let me know in the comments too if that's something you might be interested in. But I don't follow a structured organization. A lot of witches don't, because that's why we're not part of any religion. And that's why we're not Wiccan. You can be Wiccan. There is nothing wrong with that. If you like structure and you like that structured relationship of covens and Wicca, go for it. That's what you should be doing. If that's what rhymes and vibes with you. If you don't don't force yourself to do it. Because one thing I've learned along all of this path is if you try to force yourself to be involved in something you don't want to be involved in, it never works out. So that's a little bit about me. I do hope you enjoyed this video. This is literally the very first time I've done a video talking about myself, and you may have found how weirdly uncomfortable it is for me or not. I'm not really sure how it's going to actually play out once it's actually posted and stuff. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I stepped a bit outside my comfort zone to talk about me, and I look forward to reading some of the comments I'm going to get from you guys. If you haven't already, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's going to be a couple of videos dropping right down here. Please watch them back to back, because the more you watch videos back to back on the YouTube algorithm, the further my channel and our community is pushed up in the algorithm for other people to see and hopefully vibe with and hopefully subscribe and grow our community. So until the next video, please be sure, as always, be safe, be well, and be blessed.